The more men believe an idea to be true, the greater the likelihood that the idea is mistaken. Those who are right usually stand alone. One can advise comfortably from a safe port. To venture causes anxiety. Not to venture is to lose oneself. Far from idleness being the root of all evil, it is rather the only true good. You become what you understand. In order to swim, one takes off all one's clothes. In order to aspire to the truth, one must undress in a far more inward sense, divest oneself of all one's inward clothes, of thoughts, conceptions, selfishness, etc., before one is sufficiently naked. Any truth is only true up to a certain point. When one oversteps the mark, it becomes a non-truth. Where am I? Who am I? How did I come to be here? What is this thing called the world? Those who dream must be awakened, and the deeper the people are who slumber, or the deeper they slumber, the more important it is that they be awakened, and the more powerfully must they be awakened. And this is one of the most crucial definitions for the whole of Christianity, that the opposite of sin is not virtue but faith. For the sadness in legitimate humor consists in the fact that honestly and without deceit it reflects in a purely human way upon what it is to be a child. Most people are subjective toward themselves and objective toward all others, frightfully objective sometimes, but the task is precisely to be objective toward oneself and subjective toward all others. The door to happiness opens outward. This is all that I have known for certain, that God is love. Even if I have been mistaken on this or that point, God is nevertheless love. It takes moral courage to grieve. It requires religious courage to rejoice. One should be an enigma not just to others, but to oneself too. I study myself. When I am tired of that, I light a cigar to pass the time, and think God only knows what the good Lord really meant with me, or what he meant to make of me. Faith is the highest passion in a human being. Many in every generation may not come that far, but none comes further. There is a view of life which conceives that where the crowd is, there is also truth. There is another view of life which conceives that wherever there is a crowd, there is untruth. Marriage brings one into fatal connection with custom and tradition, and traditions and customs are like the wind and weather, altogether incalculable. What the philosophers have to say about reality is often as disappointing as a sign you see in a shop window, which reads "pressing done here." If you brought your clothes in to be pressed, you would be fooled, for the sign is only for sale. The melancholy have the best sense of the comic, the opulent often the best sense of the rustic, the dissolute often the best sense of the moral, and the doubter often the best sense of the religious. Worship isn't God's show. God is the audience. God's watching. The congregation, they are the actors in this drama. Worship is their show, and the minister is just reminding the people of their forgotten lines. How ironical that it is by means of speech that man can degrade himself below the level of dumb creation, for a chatterbox is truly of a lower category than a dumb creature. Since my earliest childhood a barb of sorrow has lodged in my heart. As long as it stays I am ironic. If it is pulled out I shall die. Wherever there is a crowd, there is untruth. Job endured everything until his friends came to comfort him. Then he grew impatient. Ulysses was not comely, but he was eloquent, yet he fired two goddesses of the sea with love. I have only one friend, and that is Echo. Why is it my friend? Because I love my sorrow, and Echo does not take it away from me. I have only one confidant, and that is the silence of night. Why is it my confidant? Because it remains silent. Woman is the conscience of man. Teach me, Zero God, not to torture myself, not to make a martyr out of myself through stifling reflection, but rather teach me to breathe deeply in faith. The self is a relation which relates itself to its own self, or it is that in the relation that the relation relates itself to its own self. The self is not the relation, but that the relation relates itself to its own self. If I am capable of grasping God objectively, I do not believe, but precisely because I cannot do this I must believe. Adversity not only draws people together, but brings forth that beautiful inward friendship. Happiness is the greatest hiding place for despair. It is the normal state of the human heart to try to build its identity around something besides God. The truly simple way of presenting Christianity is to do it. All lives end, but not all conclude. It seems essential, in relationships and all tasks, that we concentrate only on what is most significant and important. As the arrow, loosed from the bow by the hand of the practiced archer, does not rest till it has reached the mark, so men pass from God to God. He is the mark for which they have been created, and they do not rest till they find their rest in Him. During the first period of a man's life, the greatest danger is not to take the risk. Most people believe that the Christian commandments are intentionally a little too severe. May new sufferings torment your soul. We live as if we were unaware of our impending destruction. Repetition is the reality and the seriousness of life. Genius never desires what does not exist. That which is truly human, no generation learns from the one before it. No generation learns from another how to love. No generation has a shorter task assigned to it except insofar as the previous generation shirked its task and deluded itself. This age will die not as a result of some evil, but from a lack of passion. One must see it close up, the callousness with which otherwise kind people act in the capacity of the public because their participation or non-participation seems to them a trifle that with the contributions of the many becomes the monster. Not just in commerce, but in the world of ideas too, our age is putting on a veritable clearance sale. Everything can be had so dirt cheap that one begins to wonder whether in the end anyone will want to make a bid. The most painful state of being is remembering the future, particularly the one you'll never have. Backwards understood be only can, but forwards lived be must life. The more people who believe something, the more apt it is to be wrong. The person who is right often has to stand alone.